Good evening, I'm Praram Vadahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Breakthrough achieved in the bill related to transitional justice, which had remained contentious for the past 18 years. Consensus on disputed issues, including judicial remedy for the victims. Victims of cooperatives protest against the government for failing to implement past agreements by forming a human chain in the capital. Indifferent government delays formation of a separate regulating entity. China and India agreed to speed up negotiations over border disputes and maintain peace and tranquility in border areas, agreed to maintain communication through diplomatic and military channels. And host Nepal mark a winning start at the Kava Women's Volleyball Nations League. Humble Sri Lanka in straight sets, India see off Iran in 4 sets, Nepal and India face off on Saturday. Transitional Justice Bill has been somewhat of a political weapon for parties for many years now. While each party during their time at the government puts forth the agenda in an attempt to take credit of delivering justice to the victims of the armed insurgency period, change in political equation has overshadowed the cause every time. However, the state is obliged to furnish an answer regarding justice delivery, as the conflict-era victims have been at the center of interest for international community, on top of the pressure from the victims and their families and the directive by the Supreme Court.
It's been 18 years that the transitional justice has hanged in uncertainty. 3 major parties on Thursday reached a consensus regarding the bill that is in consideration at the Law Committee of the House of Representatives. Earlier, they were at loggerheads regarding 4 points in the bill. Now, the task force formed to conclude the bill have agreed to categorize intentional murders during the conflict era as serious human rights violation, along with incidents of sexual violence and rape. Major parties also agreed to provide relief to the fighters and families of security officials who were victims during the era. Parties also previously differed on the degree of action against those guilty, and now they have agreed to at least demand for 25% of the punishment claimed by victim. The task force has also agreed that the victims can seek for judicial solutions in case the 2 sides cannot come to an agreement for reconciliation.
पत्र गर्नका लागि मेलमिलाप गर्नका लागि र क्षमादानका लागि पीडितको सहमति आवश्यक हुने कुरा गरेका छौं र यदि पीडितको सहमति भएन भने अब मानवाधिकारको गम्भीर उल्लङ्घनमा त मुद्दा चल्ने नै भयो मानवाधिकारको उल्लङ्घनमा पनि सरकारवादी फौजदारी मुद्दा भयो भने त्यो चाहिँ त मुद्दा चल्न सक्ने र अब दुनियावादी फौजदारी मुद्दा भएकोमा पीडितले जे गरोस् पीडितलाई त्यसको अधिकार दिने भन्ने कुरा भएको छ.
The task force will now prepare a report on the agreed points and submit it to the Prime Minister and top leaders.
यो 4वटा बुँदाहरू थियो जस्तो गम्भीर मानव उल्लङ्घनका सन्दर्भमा नियतवश वा स्वेच्छाचारी ढङ्गले अन्य पनि हामीले त्यहाँ उल्लेख गरेका छौं. यसरी सबै इस्युहरुलाई हामीले आज सहमति गरेर हामीले प्रतिवेदन बुझाइसकेपछि अन्तिम फेरि एकचोटी नेताहरूले समय हेर्नु हुनेछ.
Although disputed issues were addressed by the task force, it is still a long way to go before the laws are amended and even more for them to be implemented. The Law Committee of the lower house will now have to approve the bill, which will go to the House of Representatives for discussion. The law will be amended once the lower house approves the bill. This will be followed by the process for appointment of office bearers at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Commission for the Investigation of Enforced Disappeared Persons that has been without office bearers for the past 2 years. Based on the agreement between the parties, 3 additional months will be provided to any victim that wants to file complaint regarding sexual violence and rape. For now, the agreement between parties regarding the disputed issues can be considered a step forward in delivering justice to the victims of the armed conflict era.
Victims of fraud related to cooperatives who have been agitating for the past 15 months amidst government indifference despite issuing assurances encircled Tudikil of Kathmandu by forming a human chain while donning a black cross over their masks. At a time when billions of rupees deposited at more than 500 cooperatives across the country is at risk, the victims have shared grievances saying the government has remained insensitive despite reaching several agreements in the past. After several agreements reached with the government in the past year and a half were not implemented, victims of fraud related to cooperatives have applied pressure on the government by encircling Kathmandu's Tudikil. The government itself has identified cooperatives as the basis of a three-pillar economy system. However, with the failure in effective implementation, hundreds of thousands of depositors have become victims of cooperatives. The depositors who have been demanding the return of their savings for the past year and a half have grown agitated and frustrated as the agreements reached even with related ministries have yet to be implemented. The victims of the fraud of cooperatives have spent all seasons in Maitighar, Tinkune and Shanti Vatika to demand the return of their deposits. They have also alleged the government of being a mere spectator to their plight. Despite agreements with the victims, the government does not even have data on the number of victims of cooperatives in the country. According to the Struggle Committee, there are more than 5 million victims of 300 cooperatives in Nepal. Victims of cooperatives who have been agitating for the past 15 months with their demand of return of the deposits have been holding a sit-in protest at Shanti Vatika of Kathmandu for the past 70 days in the third phase of their protest. While the depositors are concerned about their savings being at risk, the government does not seem to be in any rush to address their issue. And despite assuring them of returning savings of up to 500,000 rupees through the budget, the government is yet to initiate any effort. While a separate regulation entity was to be instituted to regulate the savings and credit cooperatives, only a basic draft of such an entity has been developed so far. 80-year-old Shanti Manandar of Minmawan, Kathmandu is protesting at Shanti Vatika as she has not received her saving deposited at Kantipur cooperatives. She has not received her saving from Sri Laligora's multi-purpose cooperative as well. With 3 million rupees saved at these two cooperatives, Manandar is a cancer patient who has not received her savings to fund her treatment. Tulasi Bahadur Khatka, who worked as a security guard at Deurali cooperative, is also protesting as the entity he served has not returned 400,000 rupees he deposited at it. Another 600,000 rupees deposited by his spouse at Gorkha cooperative has also not been returned. Mahalakshmi Mainali, who deposited her hard-earned money at Prosperous Cooperative, has not been returned it as well. Mainali has also shared her grievances as she has not been able to fund her treatment and make ends meet. In the budget for the ongoing fiscal year, the government had announced of returning deposits of up to 500,000 rupees. While the problems are only growing for the depositors, the government has barely begun discussions for the announcement made in the budget. The budget has also included provision for formation of a regulating entity for savings and credit cooperatives. The Department of Cooperatives has prepared a draft for legal provisions for the same, but it is yet to be furnished to the ministry. The government has reached 2 agreements with the victims of the cooperatives in the past. As announced in the budget, it is imperative for the government to expedite required procedures to confiscate the assets of the operators of the cooperatives to return the savings of the depositors. To avoid long-term problems, the government must prioritize formation of a separate regulating entity to address the problems of the victims of the fraud related to cooperatives at the earliest. In our Public Voice segment, we have asked in several provinces why has the problem of victims of cooperatives not been resolved despite numerous commitments from the government. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
जनता कराउँछन् रोडमा काग कराउँदै गर्छ पिना सुक्दै गर्छ सरकारले के मतलब
सबै नेताकै सहकारीहरू छन् त्यसकारणले उनीहरुकै आफै ठुला भए आफै सानालाई हेर्दै हेरेनन्
उहाँहरुकै कार्यकर्ताले हिनामिना गरेको हुनाले गर्दाखेरि यसको चाहिँ कार्यान्वयन नभए जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ
पब्लिकले शान्त पार्नको लागि चाहिँ यिनीहरुले चाहिँ अलिकति झुक्याएर चाहिँ राखिराखेको छ
कति सरकार चेन्ज भइसक्यो जो आउँछ त्यही भन्छ हामी मिलाउँछ कसैले पनि मिलाउँदैन
हामी पीडित हो पीडितको अलिक उनीहरु सुन्नु पर्यो सरकारलाई
जो सरकार आइराछ मात्रै आफ्नो कुर्सीको लागि हामी गर्छौं हेर्छौं भन्छ
राजनीतिक दलसँग जोडिएका र अलिकति वरिष्ठ भन्ने व्यक्तिहरु नै त्यसमा संलग्न रहेको कारणले गर्दा पनि
कारबाही गर्दा त्यो दलका नेताहरु नै कारबाही हुने भएको हिसाबले यो सरकारले खासै यो कारबाही गर्न सक्दैन
त्यसमा पनि विभिन्न किसिमका माफियाहरुको पनि प्रभाव भएको चाहिँ मैले अनुभव गरे
यसलाई कार्यान्वयन तर्फ लैजाँदाखेरि चाहिँ सरकार निकट अथवा सरकारमा सहभागी व्यक्ति नै यसमा मुछिएको देखिने डरले पनि
नियमहरुको लुपहरुको फाइदा उठाउँदै चाहिँ सहकारीका सञ्चालकहरुले त्यसमा फाइदा उठाएको जस्तो लाग्छ
It is now time for our segment Public Polls, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Polls.
And now, before we ask today's question, let us take a look at the result from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we had asked, what are the impacts of government's failure to abide by its own criteria during appointment of ambassadors? 63% were for A, effects of international image, 10% were for B, weakens bilateral relations, and 27% were for C, overlooking capable candidates. And here is our today's question. Why has the health insurance program not been effective? Your options are A, complicated service delivery, B, government not releasing funds, and C, unaware service seekers. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001. It is now time for a short break, but for more news, do stay with us. Water level at most rivers across the country has increased because of incessant rainfall. Now, local residents at the settlements near the river banks are at risk of inundation. However, local residents of Susta in West Navalparasi are busy in collection of wood swept by the swollen Narayani River. According to Jitendra Win of Susta Rural Municipality, Ward number 5 of West Navalparasi, he has been reaching the bank of the Narayani River on a daily basis to collect wood swept by the swollen river.
खाना पकाएको बा खाएको गएछ त बानाइ साहब हामीले बेचेको बा खाएको बा दरियामा बसेर रहेको बा र यो बसेको बा आइजा दरियाको बेचेको बा खाएको बा.
Like Jitendra, Chandra Bahadur Dalami Magar of Susta 5, Sakardini also reaches the bank of the Narayani River to collect wood.
जंगल नभएर हामीलाई दाउराको अभाव भएर नदीदेखि दाउरा निकालेर अनि भात पकाउनेलाई चाहिँ दाउरा निकालिन्छ.
Many local residents of Susta have been reaching the bank of the river to collect wood. At times, the bank witnesses a thick presence of the local residents. Despite being a risky work, it is not their hobby or interest, but a compulsion. There are no community forests in and around Susta. Despite the well-off families using cooking gas in their kitchen, most others are compelled to use firewood. Flood in the Narayani River is the source of collection of the wood required throughout the year for these families. Those reaching the river bank in groups collect a huge quantity of wood, which also helps them generate hundreds of thousands of rupees in revenue in a single season. As it is also a good source of revenue, these local residents risk their lives to collect the wood in the swollen river. The local administration and the rural municipality has urged the local residents not to risk their lives. However, they have ignored such calls.
हाम्रा गाउँपालिकाका नगरपालिकाले पनि त्यहाँ घुमेको माइकिङ गरेको तर जनताले मान्दैन. किन मान्दैन भन्दा सबै ग्यासबाट भात पकाउन सक्षम छैनन्.
Despite the loss of lives of many who reach the Narayani River bank to collect wood each year, it has not stopped the crowd to risk their lives. It is now time for the international news. China and India have agreed to speed up negotiations over their border disputes and maintain peace and tranquility in border areas as standoffs along part of the Himalayan frontier enter their fourth year. During the 30th round of border talks held in New Delhi, the two sides also agreed to focus on specific issues related to the China-India border, accommodate each other's legitimate concerns, and reach a mutually acceptable solution soon. They have also agreed to maintain communication through diplomatic and military channels, strengthen the construction of negotiation mechanisms, accelerate the negotiation process, turn the page on the border situation at an early date, and promote the healthy and stable development of China-India relations. In a separate statement, India's External Affairs Ministry said the two sides had reviewed the current situation along the line of actual control (LAC) with a view to finding an early solution of the outstanding issues, adding that restoration of peace and tranquility and respect for the LAC are an essential basis for the restoration of normalcy in bilateral relations. Beijing has long said that the border disputes should not dominate or define the entire bilateral relationship, while India has said the border issue is the basis of restoring ties. We have more news coming up, but right now it is time for yet another short break.
Sports news.
Nepal women's national volleyball team have marked a winning start at the Kava Women's Nations League. In the match played at the covered hall of the National Sports Council in Tripureshwar, Kathmandu, hosts Nepal displayed a convincing performance to win 25-19, 25-18 and 25-19. Middle blocker Sumitra Regmi and spiker Arati Subedi made their debut for the national team today. The Nepali Eves are competing at the tournament alongside Sri Lanka, the Maldives, Iran and India. Nepal will next face India on Saturday, Iran on the 4th of August and the Maldives on the 5th of August. In another match played today, India defeated Iran in 4 sets. The top 4 teams of the group stage will advance into the semi-finals slated for 6th of August. The group winners of the single-round league will take on the 4th place team, while the group runners-up will lock horns with 3rd place team in the last 4 clashes. The final and the 3rd place playoff will be held on 7th of August. Prior to this tournament, Team Nepal had played 2 friendly matches against Russia. And despite the preparation of a calendar, the All Nepal Football Association ANFA has not been able to organize regular tournaments. Women's League and Men's A Division and B Division leagues have not been held. In such a situation, the ongoing Under-18 league has become an opportunity for young players to enhance their skills and pursue a career in football. Nepal Football Association ANFA has been facing criticisms for failing to organize regular tournaments, exodus of players and lapses in the Women's League alongside the failure in organizing international tournaments at home. However, age group tournaments are being managed somehow. A total of 12 clubs are currently competing at the Under-18 Men's League underway at the ANFA complex in Sadobato. Talented players are being identified from the tournament and they are now dreaming of a career in the sport in the country.
अहिले चाहिँ अब हाम्रो उद्देश्य भनेको चाहिँ नेशनल टिममा छिरेर चाहिँ आफ्नो देशको लागि खेल्ने योजना हो अनि अहिले अब जस्तै अहिले अन्डर-18 भइरहेको छ अनि यहाँ अब हामीलाई 3 स्टारले पनि राम्रो प्लेटफर्म दिएको छ फुटबलमा करियर चाहिँ राम्रो छ अब हाम्रो यो अन्डर-18 पनि राम्रै गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ हाम्रो एन्फाले जे गर्दा नि र हामी सक्दो अब सबको चाहना त छँदैछ नि ठुलो नेशनल टिममा बढ्ने बिस्तारै गरेर तर राम्रो हुँदैछ.
The ANFA had made efforts to recreate the atmosphere of football across the country through the selection of players for under-14 and 20 in the past as well. The league being held at the moment by prioritizing the grassroots has come as an opportunity for new players and coaches as well. Coaches are of the opinion that such tournaments being held on a regular basis can aid in development of football in the country.
पोलिटिकल इस्युले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अलिकति ढिलो भयो होला तर अहिले जुन चाहिँ अहिले यो कामहरु भइरहेछ अन्डर-18 को जुन चाहिँ पहिला चाहिँ नकआउट गर्थ्यो भने अहिले 3 महिना 4 महिना भनेपछि डेफिनेटली यसले चाहिँ हाम्रो आगामी आउने नेशनल टिमको लागि चाहिँ ठुलो ठुलो टेवा पुर्याउँछ हैन यो चाहिँ जस यस्तो प्रोग्राम चाहिँ एन्फाबाट चाहिँ भइराखोस् हैन यस्तो गरेपछि बच्चाहरु एक म्याच एक्सपीरियन्स हुन्छ अनि अब चाहिँ क्लबले आफ्नो एकाडेमीलाई राम्रो तरिकाले इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गर्छ गरिसकेपछि के भयो त क्लब कोच पनि एक्सपीरियन्स हुने भयो हैन कोच पनि त अब चाहिँ एक्सपीरियन्स हुने भयो साथसाथै प्लेयरहरु पनि धेरै निक्लिने भयो नि त.
Despite reduction in football activities, the craze for the beautiful sport remains the same in Nepal. A total of 250 players from across the country are participating in the ongoing league, which ANFA believes will support in bolstering the bench strength of the national team in the days ahead.
Different क्लबहरु केही सहभागितामा देशभरिबाट चाहिँ छनौट गरेर क्लबहरुले टिम बनाएको छ र यो निश्चय पनि नेशनल टिमको ब्याकअपको रूपमा यो महत्त्वपूर्ण कार्यक्रम हामीले चलाइरहेका छौं र यसले चाहिँ नेशनल टिममा वा चाहिँ भनौं अब ए डिभिजन लीगहरुमा बी डिभिजन लीगहरुमा सी डिभिजन लीगहरुमा चाहिँ खेलाडीको जुन अभाव भन्ने छ त्यसलाई परिपूर्ति गर्छ भन्ने लाग्छ.
District leagues are also being held in Nepal. The ANFA has said that talks are in progress for the Under-20, Martyrs Memorial League and the Women's League.
3 वर्ष नै वुमेन्स लीगको बजेटको विषयमा समस्या पनि झन्डै 9 करोड वरिपरि बजेट हामीले पास गरिसकेका छौं हैन. पुरुषको सन्दर्भमा पनि अब बजेटको खासै त्यस्तो धेरै समस्या त होइन तर नेपाल सरकारबाट पनि केही सहयोग भए राम्रो हुन्थ्यो भन्ने हाम्रो अपेक्षा हो किनकि फुटबल ए डिभिजन लीग बी डिभिजन लीग र सी डिभिजन लीग भनेको चाहिँ त्यो फुटबल मात्रै होइन खेल मात्रै होइन के त्यो त्यहाँ चाहिँ युवाहरुको रोजगारीको कुरा पनि हो.
Age group tournaments are not adequate to completely activate the football atmosphere. To do so, the national football governing body must proceed with a long-term plan. Nepali football will grow active and develop only if A, B and C division leagues along with Women's League and international exposure for the players can be ensured as envisioned by the calendar. That is all for the moment. Up next is the news in Nepali. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.